I'm Frank Gaffney. I am very proud to be, among other things, the vice chairman of the Committee on the Present Danger China, which is, with the very considerable support and assistance of the Center for Security Policy, where I'm the executive chairman, mounting, among other things, a campaign to try to bring information like that you will be exposed to today to as many Americans as possible, in particular in the context of this 2020 election year. Not as a partisan matter, but as a matter of public policy education. The committee is made up of 50 or so, now 60 I think, members. Some of them are national security practitioners, some of them are subject matter experts, some are business leaders, some are religious freedom activists or human rights champions. Modeled very much after an earlier initiative of a similar name, the Committee on the Present Danger, that in the 1970s helped articulate the threat that we were then facing from that time's existential threat to freedom, namely the Soviet Union. One of its members was Ronald Reagan, and that Committee on the Present Danger helped President Reagan, before he became president, think through, craft, and articulate a strategy that would serve in contrast to the policies that had been practiced by previous presidents of both parties, which at the time wasn't called engagement, but that's what it was. It was called détente. And they helped President Reagan not only think through that strategy and articulate it for the American people's consideration, but to help secure a mandate for that candidate both to win the presidency and then to execute that strategy. In fact, President Reagan pulled 31 members of the committee into his administration to execute what came to be known as peace through strength, but in practice was rollback. And ultimately, shortly after he left office, it succeeded. And the rest, as they say, is history. Inspired by that example, that model, we have put together, under the leadership of our chairman, Brian Kennedy, who could not be here, a similar caliber of membership and concerted desire to serve that has now taken us, among other things, to 6 of the early primary states, or caucuses: Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina, Texas, and now here in Maryland, for the purpose of trying to do 2 things. One, to elevate the issue, the importance of the threat posed by Communist China to our country in this election season. Because after all, the next president of the United States, whoever that may be, whatever political party or philosophy they may pursue, will find, make no mistake about it, the job won in the national security space, in the economic arena, and unfortunately also in, apparently, the public health space, is going to be Communist China. We have a second purpose, though, and that is to try to both understand and help counter the threats we're facing from China. And in the course of the roughly year that we have been in business, the Committee on the Present Danger China has identified, I think singularly and helpfully, one of the dirty little secrets about what's been going on with respect to this building threat from China. And that is that we are underwriting it massively. By some estimates, Wall Street has transferred $3 trillion to China in the past decade or so. And you can buy a lot of threats for $3 trillion, and the Chinese have. So one of the other things that we're about in this state, and the ones that I've mentioned and others to come, is trying to help those in state elective office, and for that matter, appointive office, who have, whether in the executive branch or in the legislative branch, fiduciary responsibilities for overseeing the public pension funds of the states, that they may well be, in most cases we believe are, investing in Chinese companies, and not just Chinese companies that are not transparent, that are not accountable, that do not disclose their governance or material risks associated with investing in those companies. Something that, by the way, any American company in the US markets must do. They don't have to. You know why? Because they say that kind of information is a state secret. What could possibly go wrong? So we're trying to make sure that people understand all of that, but in addition, it turns out, as we have documented, and you can find much of the information about this at presentdangerchina.org, the website of the Committee on the Present Danger China. The other dirty little secret is that many of these companies are involved in some of the most dangerous of things that the Communist Party of China is up to. And we'll talk about that more, I'm sure, in the course of this conversation. But suffice it to say, we believe it is not simply outrageous that Americans are being induced to invest in such companies. There's a move afoot, by the way, now to have our military personnel be obliged to do so. Even though it means investing in companies, in some cases, that are building the weapon systems with which to kill our men and women in uniform, and quite possibly the rest of us. This is not simply outrageous. This is obscene. And we're determined to try to encourage state officials and legislators to do something about it, as well as at the federal level.